There's a version of you that exists only in the dark, phone in hand, screen glowing, waiting. You already know they're not going to reply, or if they do, it'll be 2 words after 3 days of silence. You know how this ends. You've lived this ending before, and yet you're still here, still checking, still hoping, still feeling your stomach drop every time you open your messages and see nothing. So here's the question that actually matters. Not why are they like this, but why are you like this? Why does someone who makes you feel invisible become the one person you can't stop thinking about? Most people assume the answer is simple: low self-worth, childhood patterns. You just want what you can't have. And sure, some of that may be true, but it doesn't explain the actual experience. It doesn't explain why clear rejection from one person stings for a week and you move on, while mixed signals from someone else can consume you for months. It doesn't explain the physical sensation, the chest tightening, the inability to focus, the way your entire emotional state seems to hang on whether they use a period or an exclamation point. If this was just about rejection, you'd leave. So why don't you? Here's what's actually happening in your brain, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with pigeons. He taught them to peck a button for food. Then he changed the rules. Sometimes the button gave food, sometimes it gave nothing. No pattern, no warning, just randomness. The pigeons that got food every single time, they pecked when they were hungry and then stopped. But the pigeons that got food unpredictably, they couldn't stop. They pecked obsessively, compulsively, long after the food stopped coming entirely. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, and it may be one of the most potent forms of behavioral conditioning we know about. Here's the part that should make your stomach drop. Your relationship with that person is the button, their affection is the food, and you're the pigeon. Here's where it gets stranger. When affection arrives predictably, every morning text, every Friday date night, your brain adapts. The dopamine response settles into a baseline. But when affection is unpredictable, when they're warm one day and cold the next, present and then gone, affirming and then dismissive, every time the reward finally appears after a drought, your brain may release more dopamine than it would from consistent love. The scarcity can make the hit feel euphoric. This is the same mechanism that keeps people pulling a slot machine lever. Not the winning, the almost winning. The gap between what you had and what you just lost. That gap is where obsession can take hold. Now, this is the part that sounds backwards, but stick with me. Research on reward anticipation suggests that a 50% chance of getting what you want can produce a stronger and more sustained dopamine response than a 100% guarantee. Not equal to certainty, stronger, maybe can be more intoxicating than yes. Think about what that means. When someone is consistently kind to you, consistently available, consistently clear about how they feel, that's healthy, that's secure, but it may not hijack your brain's reward system the way uncertainty does. The person who confuses you, who leaves you guessing, who gives you just enough to keep hoping, but never enough to feel safe, that person can wire themselves into your nervous system in a way that consistent love may not. This isn't romantic. This is chemistry doing what chemistry does. Here's the darker layer. It's not just that their affection feels good. It's that over time, your brain may learn something far more damaging. When someone destabilizes you repeatedly, criticism, withdrawal, silence that stretches for days, your nervous system goes on alert. Cortisol spikes. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that scans for threat, may flag this person as dangerous. But here's the trap. The same person who triggers your distress also delivers the relief. Their apology calms what their silence created. Their "I miss you" soothes what their absence inflicted. This is emotional conditioning at work. Your brain can start to treat their approval not as love, but as safety. And when your brain confuses safety with a specific person, leaving stops feeling like a choice. It starts feeling like a threat. There's a word for what you may be experiencing, and it's not love. Psychologist Dorothy Tenov coined the term limerence in the 1970s to describe a state of involuntary obsessive attachment. It's characterized by intrusive thinking, They're just there in your head, unbidden, an overwhelming need for reciprocation, and a near total emotional dependence on whether they signal interest or disinterest. And here's the detail most people miss. Limerence doesn't require a real relationship. In fact, it often thrives in the absence of one. Uncertainty is the fuel. The less you know for sure, the more your brain fills in the gaps with fantasy, with hope, with elaborate interpretations of a 3-word text. They said, "Hey," but they used a lowercase h. What does that mean? You know exactly what I'm talking about. This is not a diagnosis. Limerence is a descriptive concept, not a clinical disorder. But if you've ever felt that your emotional stability depended entirely on whether one specific person acknowledged your existence, you don't need a diagnosis to know that something has taken over. There's a phenomenon in psychology called misattribution of arousal. In classic studies, researchers found that when people experience physiological arousal, racing heart, sweaty palms, that butterfly sensation, they sometimes mislabel the cause. If there's an attractive person nearby, the brain may interpret, "My body is activated," as, "I must be attracted to them." Now apply that to a relationship that keeps you anxious. Your heart races when they go silent. Your palms sweat when you're waiting for a reply. Your stomach drops when they post a story and haven't responded to you. Your body is in a near constant state of activation. And because they're the target of your thoughts during all of this, your brain can draw a simple, catastrophic conclusion. This must be passion. This must be chemistry. This must mean something. It might not. It might just mean your nervous system is exhausted. And then there's what you're doing right now, or what you were doing 5 minutes before you clicked on this video. Checking your phone, their profile, their last seen timestamp, whether they viewed your story, whether they liked someone else's post before responding to you. Every check is a bet, a small, desperate gamble that this time the reward will be there. And when it isn't, the disappointment doesn't teach you to stop. It teaches you to check again, sooner, harder. This is the checking cycle. The search for relief becomes the thing that deepens the attachment. Every time you look for a sign, you're telling your brain, "This person matters enough to monitor." And your brain listens. It allocates more resources, more attention, more emotional bandwidth, and the obsession tightens, one refresh at a time. At some point, something shifts, and you may not even notice when it happens. The question stops being, "Do I actually want this person?" and becomes, "Why don't they want me?" The relationship is no longer about connection. It's about validation. Your sense of worth has quietly been outsourced, and now it lives inside someone else's response time. This is the identity trap. When they reply, you're visible. When they don't, you're not sure you exist. The goal stops being love. The goal becomes getting chosen. And that's a game you cannot win, because even when you do get chosen, temporarily, the relief is so brief that you're already bracing for the next withdrawal before the good feeling even lands. So here's the thing. None of this makes you weak. None of this makes you broken. None of this makes you too much. Your brain was doing exactly what brains do when you put them in front of an unpredictable reward and tell them the stakes are existential. It was trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle. And the cost of that attempt was your peace. The way out isn't getting them back. It isn't getting closure from them. They may never give you that. It isn't proving you're worthy of their consistency. The way out is letting your brain complete the withdrawal, recognizing that what you've been calling love may have been something closer to a conditioning loop, and that loops can be broken. Not with willpower alone, not by thinking your way out, but by interrupting the cycle, by stopping the checks, by sitting through the discomfort of the notification that doesn't come, and discovering, slowly, that you survive it. Because here's the truth that's hard to hear and harder to forget. Maybe the thing you were chasing wasn't them. Maybe it was the relief of them finally, briefly, choosing you. Maybe you weren't obsessed with the person. You were obsessed with getting the next moment of relief. And relief is not the same thing as love. Relief is what you feel when pain stops. Love is what you feel when you're safe enough to stop checking your phone in the dark.